Hey guys, what's up? Jalen here from Team Burning Infinity. Wish you all a Merry Christmas. And I've got here my wizard deck with a few updates from the last time you've seen it. And in red sleeves, probably good for the occasion of a very Merry Christmas. I will show you my sideboard for wizards. Something you don't really see from me, but I want to show it off to you guys because this is a special day and this is a special occasion. So, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good fight. Now, without further ado, I'm going to get on to my list. Of course, we have the Magical flag, and my buddy is Kenji of the Explosive Fist. Just a nice, easy vanilla to call, and a really reliable card when I do need it. So, definitely a great buddy. Then we start off the size ones with two Magical Disciple Rhodey. Now, this card used to be a 3 or 4 in my deck, but this card is just a really decent vanilla, I guess, now. It's not really needed, so I kind of just feel like I should take him out. But not until like set 5, where more wizard cards come in. But it's still a decent vanilla, but definitely not as good as Black Demon Swordsman Jace Aldous. Jace Aldous is definitely a really good card still in my deck, but his life cost does get annoying, so I might be taking out, maybe bumping him down to 2. I still think he's needed. Definitely hit some thresholds if you can't hit them. Then we have Magician of Glass, Will Glass Art. Definitely one of the great cards of Wizards. Even people love it in like 72s because this card just applies a lot of pressure, doing 2 damage, and then you can get to pay a gauge and draw a card. Like Magic World needs more draw power, but who cares? And then, of course, the last of the size ones we have for my buddy Kenji of the Explosive Fist. So that's all the size ones. There's 13. Then we get on to the size 2s. There's 8 of them. We've got 2 Dance Magician Albrich. Now, this card's not really needed. I usually had this thought in mind of this card being in my deck to deal with, like, decks that can't hit that 6k threshold, but not many decks have that problem anymore, so this card is going to be coming out. I don't know for what just yet. Maybe in set 5, get rid of this for the new Nobunaga kind of clone for Magic World. Other than that, he's just a really decent card all around with his stats. Then we got 2 Center of the World Mary Sue. Yes, I finally have 2, and I really enjoy this card. I don't think I want to play more. I mean, one more could be beneficial, but I never really find too many needs for it. I mean, it does, of course, easily get you a spell to your hand, but I never have trouble needing a spell, because my deck feels consistent enough, and then at the same time, it just costs 2 gauge, and I'd rather use it more on, like, a few other cards, most of the time. But definitely a really great card in the deck. I wouldn't bump it down or anything. I might bump it up to 1. I don't feel like I should, but if the time calls for it, I might. Then we got 4 Magical Secretary Genjiro Saki. Of course, still one of the greatest cards in Magic World. 72s are finally getting one of him, so really good. Anyway, reducing the cast cost of any of my Magic World spells is just really awesome. And he's a really useful card in the deck. Very threatening to your opponent because they don't want you to keep going absolutely ham with reduced spells. And then the last, of course, we have for my size 3s, we have 3 Drago Wizard Tempest Wing. Tempest Wing is just honestly one of the best cards. If you guys still don't know about the errata by now, it's not supposed to say your field. It says it's meant to be your opponent's field. So basically, I can just discard a wizard and then put anything my opponent has on field, any monster my opponent has on the field, into the gauge. So it's a really good card to just like fuck over the Seeger, because then you just like discard as many wizards as you need to get rid of all it. So put it in the gauge. They can't ever stop it, and then you go for 4 damage with its double attack and 2 crit. So that's practically game. So definitely a really powerful card. Definitely deals with all those stall decks. And of course, this is Magic World, so we got to move on to the spells. We got 2 Abracadabra. Very nice for the season. Getting rid of all naughty players that try and activate those spells. So you pretty much just go 2 gauge, just nullify any spell, and with Genjiro Saki become 1 gauge. So really powerful card. Another really powerful card in the deck is great spell, My Grandfather Clock. I know you guys haven't seen this from me before, but if you guys don't know what this card does, it's a great It's a wizard magic power. It has a cast cost of 2 gauge. Once again, can be reduced to one by Gendrasaki's ability. And this can only be casted if you have 6 or more different wizards in your drop. Now, I'm pretty sure I have more than 6 different wizards in my deck, so obviously this wouldn't be too hard. So, but when I do get this off, I basically get another turn and return everything from my drop, basically except this, into my deck again. So I get a whole recycle, another turn, and my opponent's gonna have to deal with all the damage I can do in those consecutive turns. And with cards comboing like Gunrod Stradivarius, so I basically get 2 guaranteed damage in a turn despite any attacks, then that's just really great. So definitely a really great card. Then we get on to basically the nullifiers. We got 3 Chillax. 4, I always said, was like a really good necessity for like this kind of format, but I don't feel always the need to have this. Once you see my sideboard, you'll see what I did with the 4. But 3 is definitely a really good number. Then we have 4 Solomon Shield. Obviously, it's not link attack, nullify it. Quite easy. Really good, useful card. Then we've got 4 Magical Goodbye, probably one of the greatest, most annoying spells people have to deal with, because it pretty much puts a stop to lots of decks nowadays, especially ones that need monsters on the field to start doing a lot of things, and most of the time they aren't size 3s, so this is a really great card to counter it. So I really like this card, and it also just helps you against Penetrate and a bunch of other useful things that I don't want to list. And for the last of spells, we have 4 Kosher. Obviously, when you have two or more wizards on the field, then you gain a gauge and you draw. You can only activate 1 per turn. Definitely a really great card, helping you preserve that gauge and getting you another draw. And probably one of the greatest spells in all of existence, and they never made another clone of this for any other world. We have Nice One. Pay 1 gauge and you draw 2 cards. No, just simple as that. No life break, nothing else. You can only activate 1 Nice One per turn. Just a really great card, nonetheless. Can be reduced to nothing with Gendrasaki, so it's a free draw too. And for the last of the cards in my main deck, we have Gunrod Stradivarius, where I pay 2 gauge and then I rest it and deal my opponent 1 damage, and I can give a monster on my field 3,000 power. Definitely help Magic World with their really weak monster stats, and allowing them to hit over a lot of things they usually wouldn't be able to, and I get to deal with damage to my opponent, so definitely a really powerful card. So, usually that would be the end of the profile for you guys, but like I said, little festives, and I wanted to do a little treat, so you guys get to see my sideboard, so I'll go by quantities first. So starting off my sideboard, we have an extra copy of Dragon Wizard Tempest Wing. Tempest Wing, you only side in the 4th copy, usually against matchups like Seeger, where you want to see this more, so you can pretty much guarantee a win against them. But other than that, you don't usually bring it back, put this 4th copy in your deck for anything else. There could be a few other matchups that try and stall you, like maybe a size 3 base deck or something, where this could be useful, but other than that, it doesn't really do anything. Then we've got the 4th Chillax. This is mainly for decks that try and rush you hard, or anything like has an impact that can be reduced, so you would want to side this in. Then we have 2 You the Man. This is mostly for like mini decks like Thunder Knights, where they barely hit a threshold, where I can actually just do this. And some useful times, maybe if I keep Albrecht in the deck, this card would be really powerful against Thunder Knights, because 6k defense, so they would have to link it, and then since they're usually weenies, I can just You the Man, and then bam, they just get counterattacked. Next we have 2 Oops. Oops is definitely a really good card. Basically, you pay 2 gauge and you return any monster, item, or spell on the field to its owner hand. Basically, I can get rid of an entire Seeger. I can get rid of any item, any set spell, anything I want my opponent to get rid of off the field and put it back into their hand. Make them have to repay it, or they're gonna have to charge and draw if they don't have the resources to use it anymore. But it's definitely a real great card to stop a lot of things. And then my own little tech that I don't think people usually try, but I think it's pretty called for. I tried 2 great spell Deus Ex Machina. I love that reference. Good job, Bushiroad. But basically, it's pretty much like Grandfather Clock, except it has a little less when it comes to its requirements. It still has the cast cost to pay 2 gauge. Once again, Gendrasaki can lower that to 1. But instead of 6 or more different wizards, it's just 6 or more wizards, which is a lot easier, of course, because I don't have to be specific with what wizards are in the drop. And pretty much I would side out maybe the grandfather clocks against some matchups. And then any matchup that's basically all about board presence, I can use this, and then I can destroy all their stuff. It mean destroys every card in the field, so it could end up destroying mine. But there's not many cards. I would just like get sad if I destroyed them. And the best moment to use this is when you do have 2 gauge, nothing practically on field. Or if I have even a gun rod, I would just rest it, then I would just deal the damage and then go for this. But pretty much this card is just really, really good against any deck that commits to the board a lot, so you can just end up destroying their entire field. And kind of same with this other multi-purpose card, Power A Maximum. Definitely a really good Magic World removal card. It's pretty much a Thunder Devastation, but it destroys things with 6,000 or less defense. So basically, and it costs 2 gauge. But basically, this is a board wiping version of Pillar of Fire. It's not counter, but it's a board wiping version, which is absolutely insane. Definitely needed against any matchups that try and like play defensive, or any matchups that like usually I can't hit their threshold too badly. Like maybe something like Thunder Knights, like I can hit their threshold, but then if I can just board wipe them and then they can have to waste a Drago Bond or something, this will be a really useful card to use against them. So I hope you guys like this profile and stick around for more Buddyfight content from all of us on Team Burning Infinity. Hope you guys have happy holidays, and remember, Merry Christmas, and to all, a good fight. See you guys later.